The program sets restrictions on both net and gross monthly income broken down to household size. But the barrier to acquiring food aid in Michigan has been lowered. It is Governor Gwich'in Whitmer signed a bipartisan bill removing the asset test as a requirement to receive SNAP benefits. And according to the Michigan Executive Office of the Governor, the move will offer greater financial security to those who need it the most and ease the burden of receiving aid. Michigan is now one of the 37 states with similar laws, and the governor says people who had more than $15,000 worth of assets, including vehicles and savings, were disqualified for food. Officials say that 500,000 children in Michigan will benefit from the eliminated asset. And now in Maine, all recipients of the SNAP program will have their monthly benefits delivered to them by today. SNAP benefits are distributed to eligible residents from the 10th to the 14th of every month, with all beneficiaries scheduled to have their benefits by the month of July by Friday. Now, the next round of SNAP payments will also begin on August 10th. The state of Texas will complete issuing SNAP benefits worth up to $1,700 for a month of July this week. Texas has a long window for issuing payments, lasting through the first 10 days of the month. Even the amount received depends on one family size. A single household will receive $281, and an 8-member household will receive $1,700. But on a federal level, some House representatives want to expand the number of food stamp recipients subject to work requirements and time-limited food benefits by raising the age of people covered by the rules to 65. Members are writing the bill against the backdrop of extraordinary uncertainty in the economy and inflation, including the cost of food is so high that the Federal Reserve is willing to risk a recession to slow the prices down. Economic disruptions are caused by the crisis, and the robust labor market is expected to weaken in the months ahead. The past week, Democrats of the Department of Education announced that it will begin discharging student loan debts for borrowers who've been in repayment for 20 to 25 years under a one-time payment. Around 800,000 borrowers will benefit from this, and there will be $39 billion dropped. Joe Biden said the previous announcement is a one-time adjustment and will become an even more important lifeline for struggling borrowers than repayments start in September. The one-time payment adjustment the Education Department had counts certain months that were previously ineligible towards student loan forgiveness. But now, everybody, the Education Department announced a one-time payment adjustment for all direct loans and federally owned family education loans. Now, the adjustment to student loan accounts will go toward helping borrowers get closer to forgiveness under the income-driven plans. And after this adjustment, people should be getting stimulus payments because the one-time payment adjustment helps to reverse some of the damage caused by loan services that did not properly track deferments or steer borrowers to forbearance, instead of income-driven toward repayment payments, which would have continued toward years of payments. Some borrowers in the public service loan forgiveness program have already seen the payment adjustments in their accounts. Effectively raised the state credit temporarily to 42% of the tax benefit. But tax reform advocates have been pushing for years to make permanent a child tax credit and enhance earned income tax credit program. The governor said he wants to reassess the state's fiscal health after much of the $3 billion in federal crisis relief Connecticut received last year has been exhausted. Over the weekend, buyers paid a $5 a gallon, or roughly $100 to fill the tank, and gas prices have doubled since Biden took office. JP Morgan analysts predict $6 a gallon by August, and experts warn this crisis will continue even after Biden's term ends because he's dismantling fossil fuel production. There are now 20 states plus Washington, D.C. with averages of $5 or above. The highest price states remain California with a state average of $6.42 a gallon. 31% of the nation's 130,000 gas stations were already selling gas for more than $5 a gallon. There are stations and states where gas is cheaper. About 15% of stations nationwide still are selling gas for less than $4.50 a gallon. But even in May, states where gas is cheaper, such as Mississippi, lower average income can mean drivers have to work longer to fill up their tanks. Biden has fighting. New data has been released, and it's by the federal government. Nancy Pelosi has made an announcement on inflation. Millions of low-income households can expect to receive inflation relief checks very soon, and these payments will be automatically sent out for some, while others may have to take action to receive this assistance. And not only that, you guys want to be sure to continue to watch this video because it gets much more interesting. Now, as Republicans regain momentum on concerns about the economy, the only thing that Democrats seem to agree on about
the number of diverse staffers has increased, reaching the highest level since we launched our survey, and almost certainly the highest level ever. Certainly the highest level in our conference's history. Our survey also shows that more African Americans work for Senate Democratic offices than ever, and in fact that's also true for Latinos, Middle Eastern and North Africans, and Asian American Pacific Islanders. Additionally, more staffers identify as part of the LGBTQ community since we first asked that question starting in 2019.
That he called for a number of changes to tax policy in his State of the Union address, including significantly raising the levy on stock buybacks and imposing a billionaire minimum tax. But the shout-out to the expanded child tax credit is more immediately significantly for the average American family than a tax on billionaires. The expanded child tax credit was back in 2021. It helped a lot of people out and to help families with Americans struggling financially, while they provided stimulus for a long time. And the maximum benefit of the credit was increased from $2,000 to $3,000 in 2021. That's for people 6 to 17 years old. And half of the credit was given in advance, plus in monthly payments to the families to help others throughout the year, and the other half was given as part of a household's tax refund. The household with pretty much no or low income was able to receive it for the first time. And though it can take years for the policy to have the tangible effects, the impact of the credit was pretty much very noticeable, very fast. And so I believe it's pretty much right for Joe Biden to send out another one. Don't you guys agree? Parents reported using the advance payments for household essentials like groceries, clothing, schools, and utilities. And despite worries from conservatives, researchers found no evidence that the policy discouraged people from going back to work. Instead, it probably motivated people to get back to work. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, everybody, said the success of the 2021 expansion showed us that child poverty rates are a policy choice, not inevitable. And Congress failed to renew the expansion in 2021, reverting the credit back to its former, less generous iteration. It's one of the reasons that families could see smaller tax refunds this year when they file their returns, because some tax credits have already implemented their own version of a child tax credit last year to make up for the difference. Still, without this expansion, everybody, millions of people fell back into poverty at the beginning of last year. It made many people broke, and it hurt so many households. But folks, here's a solution to this. Folks, there is a new Ford stimulus check, and thousands of Americans are set to receive checks worth as much as $2,500 very soon. Many of you are wondering whether your state will send you one. Well, I'll be sharing all this important information for the Ford stimulus payment in today's video. So continue watching. We got a ton of news about this. Since the IRS distributed the final batch of these economic impact payments to eligible individuals, the concept of a fourth federal stimulus payment has been under consideration. There are several statewide programs that are in full swing or just getting started. The Alaska Permanent Fund Dividend pays Alaska residents a portion of state minerals revenue in the form of an annual dividend to benefit current and future generations. Although the deadline is March 31st of the year for which you're applying, there are some exceptions. According to officials, applicants who filed an application online and have been determined eligible will receive a